Guys, welcome here and welcome back to the Blue Collar Future podcast. I'm your host, Jaden Robison, and we got a good a good topic today, I think. Not something that I decided on until today when I decided or when I was going to record this. I hadn't really picked a topic to talk about yet, and just ended up working out. But before we get into that, we've been slowly growing our community, and we've got, you know, a bunch of exclusive content in there, weekly calls, networking, and soon to be training, live trainings, and all of that that you can get access to if you are a part of the community. So join in there, and you won't be disappointed. It is $10 a month for the community access, and then $100 a month for the training grounds, which is basically where you're going to be getting trade specific trainings, live trainings, maybe even some Spanish trainings. I have some people that I'm going to be having come in, fitness trainings, and all of that from experts in their fields. So that's going to be cool. It's going to be awesome. And I'm super excited for what's coming. Now, to get into this month, November, is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, or at least that I've been seeing that go around. You get conflicting sources saying it's June, some saying it's this month. Reason I bring that up is I was thinking today about how people start to get depressed around this time of year. And it's especially bad in trade work. If you're anywhere where you have a heavy winter, you know that people are trying to get that work done and get it finished before the snow goes. Whether you're doing concrete like us, where everybody wants to not do concrete in the winter, or framing where people don't really, nobody really wants to work in the winter and through the snow and through the cold months. So people try to get as much done as they can, get their houses closed off, closed in. So most of the work is on the inside. And it puts a lot of stress on people, puts a lot of stress on the contractors, on their employees, on the general contractors trying to get stuff done because they're throwing that extra work on. And that, coupled with the fact that the days are getting shorter, you wake up, it's dark, you get home from work, it's dark early, and that all of that added up makes for a pretty crappy scenario. It's hard to be motivated to get out and get after it every day when you have so much to do that you can't think straight, and it's gloomy, dark weather, it's cold. It's really depressing. It's sad. And everybody falls into this. There is a kind of a disorder called seasonal seasonal depression, seasonal affective disorder. It's actually a thing. And basically, people's depression gets heightened in the winter months when it's cold, dark, a lot longer than normal, and gloomy. And it really affects a lot of people. So today I wanted to talk about some things you can do to combat this. And we're going to be talking about it a from a perspective of being in the trades, being, overbooked and stressed out before winter comes, and then trying to schedule things in winter, in between snowy days and having crappy cold weather and all of that. And also from a general standpoint of how anybody who maybe not doesn't work a manual labor job, because really this month is depressing, especially for people that are inside. So a lot of people nowadays are going to work and it's dark, and they go into an office building, and then when they get off work, it's dark, and dark throughout the rest of their evening. And that really is hard. People, it messes with your body. A lot of ways our bodies are supposed to operate is going to bed when the sun goes down and waking up when the sun comes up. Obviously, there's nuances to that, but the more you start to change that, and then the more the seasons come into play, it really, really affects people mentally. And you see that a lot in places where it's really cloudy and rainy and gloomy all year, like some places up in Oregon and up in the northwest coast and the northeast as well. There's a lot of gloomy depression going on because of these things. And I actually saw a quote from one of my friends, Jed Elton, today, just barely as I'm recording this, that kind of ties into this. It really does. You don't have to control your thoughts. You just have to stop them controlling you. People's thoughts get in the way this time of year. And when you are not on top of your health, your mental health, your physical health, that is so hard to rope in. It's so hard to stop these thoughts from controlling you when you have no motivation and you have no desire to do anything. So I pretty much came up with 5 tips and to combat this mental health thing, this seasonal depression, and also to assist in your overall health. And you've probably seen me talk about a lot of these. A lot of these are not new things. They're not new tips. I've probably used every one of these in another video talking about health and wellness, or just tips for organizing your schedule or something like that. I've used these tips before because at the end of the day, everything comes back to the same basic principles. And if some of your foundational, let's say, tasks and areas of your life aren't under control, it's really hard to get other things under control. So tip number 1, and you probably have seen this coming or would have seen this coming, start working out if you have not already. I can't stress how important it is to get some physical activity and get some movement other than your job. There's a lot of people that think for some reason because they're in a manual labor job, they don't need to work out or they don't need to be physically fit and active. It's not even about the fact that you're active at work. It's about the fact that if you're doing that, then you go home and you just sit on the couch. And that's not how people are meant to be. That's not how our bodies are meant to be. And our minds don't do well with idleness. So a lot of people fall into these depressions from going to work, whether they're looking at a screen or on the job site, and then they go home and then they look at more screens, sit on the couch and watch TV. Our minds don't do well in that scenario. They don't. Your body's meant to move. Your mind operates the best when you are active. If you've ever gone on a walk and been a little bit stressed out, it's really hard to still be stressed out after you've walked for 30 minutes or an hour. It's really hard. And if you haven't even tried that yet, to say you're in, some sort of depressed mood, go for a walk. If you haven't even tried that, do it, and you'll see a bunch of benefits from it as well. Even if it's, later in the day, snowing, raining, whatever. If you're going for a walk, you will get through whatever it is that's in your head. Because the problem is with the idleness, with the dark and the gloomy and sitting at home, it is so much worse when you're not doing something, because that's all that your mind fixates on. because those thoughts really jump in and take control. Start working out. This is always going to be one of the things that I push for. I remember before I started working out, there's a lot of times where I would have trouble sleeping, or I would kind of get in depressed moods. And the winter before I started working out really was pretty bad. It was pretty brutal. And it just wasn't happy, just wasn't in a good state of mind. And started working out, and really I have not had problems since. Winter is always, this dark, gloomy, crappy time of year to work in. There's beautiful things about it, but it is pretty hard. And working out, working your body out adds a layer of strength to your mind that helps combat these sort of things. A lot of times people will tell me, or at least I'll see and hear, that they don't need to work out because they are active all day. A lot of times these people are not healthy and they're fat. And if that's you, and you're sitting here telling people that you don't need to work out because you work in the trades, and you don't need a gym membership because you work in construction, it's not helping you. It's not helping you out. Okay. This working out thing goes for everybody across the board. I finish concrete for a living. I always have. And that is what I have done, like, literally forever. There's a point where when you start a job, and you start like a construction job, it's hard, and you get physical health benefits from it for about a year, and you start to get used to it. And about another year, your body it's pretty much not a problem anymore, unless you drastically change what you're doing, which is what you are doing when you're working out. When you are working out, you are always pushing and doing either more reps or more weight, and getting your body to heal itself and build itself to handle that extra stress that you put on it. You don't have that sort of progressive or overload at work. You can't do it. There is no scalable way, and you can't, like, nobody's looking at their job as a workout. I think if you do look at your job as a workout, and you're always putting in extra effort rather than pulling back, and you constantly do that, you can get away without working out, because a lot of things with weight in general revolve around your diet anyways. But I still think working out is going to give you more benefits rather than it's going to be hard for you. I've been working out for almost 7 years now. Haven't missed more than a week. Finished concrete full time the whole time. Also have worked on a farm in my spare time. All active work. I was going to school for a lot of this, so I would work full time, go to school full time, work out still. It added a huge layer of strength. And there's this interesting thing that happens when you're working out, where if you're doing it consistently at the same time, your body will start to prepare itself for the stress that it knows is coming, and you get more energy before that. And also, after you get done working out, you may have depleted some resources, but usually you get more energy from that too. So working out actually can give you more energy rather than take it away. Less is not more a lot of the time. The more you're expending, a lot of times, the more your body will come up with energy. I mean, you got to realize too, there has never been a time where people have been so stagnant and lazy. Only in the last 50 or so years have people even sat around at computers. I mean, think about what people did before computers were around, and there are so many jobs that people sit at computers and at desks at. We're not even meant to sit as much as we do. It's never been a thing. People have always moved constantly. So getting that extra movement in is going to give a huge benefit to you in these months where it's just dark and gloomy. Quit the booze cruise every day and every weekend. If you are going to work and getting home and just starting on the alcohol, it is not helping you at all. Okay, there's a point where you can have a drink or two and it's fine. But if you're having excess amounts every single night and constantly getting on that, your mind is using that as a crutch and it's not helping your scenario. It's not helping at all. It is actively a detriment to your mental health. It doesn't help it, like it helps, it puts a patch on the problem initially, and then it makes the effects of your depression, of your anxiety worse when you're not drinking. So if you're doing it every single night and you're putting that patch over the problem, it's worse when you're not drinking. That's all I really have to say about that one, because it is so, there's enough information out there that people should know that. People should know that it's not good and it's actively working against them. And if you're already having issues, that doesn't help. It's probably sounds like a broken record, and with everybody around talking about it, definitely a broken record here, but the alcohol is not helping you. It isn't. And that's the end of the story. Cut back on it at least to where you're only drinking on the weekends. And when you're drinking on the weekends, don't get shit house drunk like every single time. Okay. People almost see it as a badge of honor to wake up the next morning and feel like crap. But it doesn't, there is no added benefit to your life. You can still get your enjoyment from a drink and not have nearly the damage on your mental and physical health. Tip number 3 is consistency with your schedule, your gym, as consistent as you can get with your work. For me, I know most of the year is inconsistent for me. So I used to have a lot of problems with trying to plan my schedule because, we would be either working farther away or working earlier, closer. And so it was always like be leaving for work at a different time and getting home at a different time, because we get done when we get done. We get done when the concrete's done for in general. So some days it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Sometimes it's 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. Get done. And the more consistent you are with everything else, the easier it is to handle those fluctuations. But all of the inconsistency adds to your anxiety of not knowing what's going on, of not knowing what's coming next. And your body knows that. So if you're never consistent with anything you do, your body will react in kind, and you will have a bunch of anxiety and depression coming from just the inconsistency of life. So what I started doing is I started waking up at the same time every single day and prepping for my day. So I'll wake up, make coffee, make my sandwich, and I'll read, or I'll do some Spanish learning, or I'll just sit on the couch and get on my phone. I mean, it doesn't have to be super crazy. You don't have to have a crazy morning schedule. The thing I would say is to wake up at the same time every morning. Your body will become acquiesced to this time, and you will wake up easier at this time. You will just be awake as soon as that time comes around. Wake up at the same time every morning. Your body knows what's going on. You always have enough sleep. And if you didn't get enough sleep, you still wake up at the same time, and your body will not be fighting you on this fact that you're always doing something different. Keep your gym schedule the same. If you work out in the morning, every single morning, your body will actually wake itself up in preparation for the stress that you're about to put it under. And that's another way of lightening this anxiety and depression that comes around this time of year. That's one thing that every winter I do, or have done in the past, is make sure I'm working out in the morning, because it just helps. It just flat out helps. So gym and yeah, gym, sleep schedule, try to go to bed at the same time every night. I know those that have kids, that's hard, but the closer you can get to being consistent on all fronts, the better off you'll be. And that way, when something happens like stay up late one night or you get off work late one night, like all of these different things that can come up that can throw a wrench in your schedule, at least most of the other stuff is under control. So you know what's going on. So be consistent. Number 4, make sure to take time for yourself to do things that you like to do, want to do. I like to read. I like to go to jujitsu. There's doing hobbies, taking care of yourself. I really have been doing knees over toes training, which is some knee mobility and hip mobility stuff that I've been doing lately that I just take time for, and it's good for me and helps keep me aligned. Taking time for yourself is crucial this time of year to ensure that you have some sort of fulfillment. Because if you have something to look forward to, which is the next one, make sure you have things you're working towards and things that you look forward to. This just showing up at work and not having any sort of goals and not having any sort of direction, this aimlessness is very conducive of depression. So you don't have a map, you don't have a direction that you go to, you don't know what's going on. Anxiety, depression starts to come in. So, build something, have some sort of hobby where you're, learning skills and getting better. This is one of the reasons why I like working out, because you always have some sort of goal when you're working out, some sort of weight goal, PR, reps, some sort of losing weight goal, like always a goal to work towards. And then you start to look towards work doing the activity and you start to enjoy that activity, and it gives something to lighten up your day. So actionable steps, daily steps, small goals, big goals, have it all. Something to keep you aligned down your journey, down your life and your day. Because the more, consistent you are at making time for yourself and then having goals that you're chasing after, the better off you'll be. Every time I come across a time where I'm not actively pushing for something, let's say working out, I notice a huge difference in my mentality and how I feel around that time. I kind of feel it plays such a big part in your mental psyche that when you don't, like, I've hit every goal that I have ever wanted to working out. So it's like when I got to this point kind of last year and didn't have any new goals to go after. And it not only is harder to work out, but it's also makes makes you have no motivation. Because what reason do you have to do anything if you don't if you don't have the reason to do it? Why would you do something if there's no purpose? Having this purpose, having this goal that you're working towards makes everything you do better, and better, it makes you better off as a person. So we have these 5 tips. Start working out, quit the booze cruise every day and every weekend, get consistent as you can, knowing that's hard. I'm saying that and knowing it's hard being in construction and in a trade. Take time for yourself to do things you enjoy. I will add to that one. I mean, it can be even fly fishing. You can even take up a hobby where you're learning something simple. Ice fishing, people who are in a winter, a heavy winter area. and make sure you have things you're working towards and things to look forward to. All of these together will almost make you bulletproof to these types of um, depressed times, because it really is a struggle and it's hard for everybody and it's hard for me. But these are some things that, I'm doing. Luckily, I don't have that alcohol to worry about. And people will say that alcohol helps them, but a lot of times they're in much worse position than anybody else, because it is a crutch and it makes everything else harder, because you have that momentary relief on it and your body doesn't know what to do and makes you more depressed without it. So these are some things that I do and that I've noticed success with, that comparing to other people that maybe have problems. And a lot of this is things that do help all times of year, but especially now, if these things are not under wraps, when you have cold, dark, gloomy times with an inconsistent work schedule, and you're home when it's dark and that's it, because you go to work when it's dark, get home when it's dark. All of these things will just help. If you like this episode, subscribe, share, leave a rating and review, and join our community. The community is a way to support the podcast without running ads. I don't want to run ads on here. I hate skipping through ads when I'm listening through podcasts. So this is the only ad I will have, is to support the community and join. And as always, we'll see you next week.